J1 checked his watch as he walked through the bright corridors of the Valoran embassy. He was 15 minutes early for his meeting, which was exactly how he liked it. The embassy was built on Meridian 7, a massive space station that floated between human and alien territories. This was neutral ground where different species could meet and talk without fear. The Valorans were strange creatures. They stood taller than humans, with blue-gray skin that looked like polished stone. Their eyes were large and dark, almost black, and they moved with a grace that seemed unnatural. But the strangest thing about them was not their appearance. It was the fact that every single Valoran was born with weapons built into their bodies. Sharp bone blades could extend from their forearms. Acid could spray from glands in their throats. They were walking arsenals, every one of them. J1 had come to the embassy without his usual sidearm. It was a gesture of respect, something his company always did when meeting with new clients. The Valorans had hired him to assess their security systems, to find weaknesses and fix them. He was good at his job. He had spent 10 years in security work, protecting diplomats and officials across the galaxy. A Valoran guard watched him pass through the entrance hall. The guard's hand rested near his throat, ready to activate his acid glands if needed. J1 nodded politely and kept walking. He understood their paranoia. The Valorans had been attacked many times throughout their history. Being armed at all times was not just their culture. It was their survival. The explosion came without warning. The floor beneath J1's feet bucked and heaved. He was thrown sideways, crashing into a wall as fire and smoke filled the corridor. His ears rang with a high-pitched whine. The lights went out, replaced by red emergency lighting that made everything look like a nightmare. J1 pushed himself to his feet. His training took over, pushing aside the shock and confusion. He grabbed for his weapon out of instinct, then remembered he was not carrying one. His communicator was still working. He pulled it from his belt. "This is J1. What's happening?" Static crackled. Then his partner's voice came through, broken and urgent. "Assassins. They breached the outer walls. Multiple targets. They're going after the princess." Princess Aranine. J1 knew about her. She was the daughter of the Valoran Emperor, visiting Meridian 7 for peace talks. If she died here, the political fallout would be catastrophic. Wars had started over less. "Where is she?" J1 asked, already running down the corridor. "Royal Quarters, East Wing." "But J1, we can't reach her. They've blocked all the routes." Another explosion rocked the embassy. Pieces of the ceiling fell around J1. He ducked and kept moving. His weapon locker was 3 floors down, too far away. The princess's chambers were close, just around 2 corners and up 1 level. He did not have time to get armed. He would have to go without. The thought did not scare him as much as it probably should have. J1 had learned long ago that weapons were tools, nothing more. A skilled person could survive with or without them. He had training. He had his mind. He had his hands. It would have to be enough. He ran up the emergency stairs, taking them 3 at a time. Smoke was everywhere now, making his eyes water. He could hear the sharp crack of energy weapons firing somewhere below. Screams echoed through the walls. The assassins were professionals. They had planned this carefully. The corridor to the princess's chambers was empty. Too empty. Bodies lay scattered on the floor. Valoran guards cut down before they could even fight back. J1's stomach twisted, but he kept moving. The heavy door to the royal quarters was still sealed, but it was starting to glow red in spots. Someone was cutting through from the other side. J1 ran to the door and slammed his fist against the access panel. "Princess Aranine, open the door." No response. He tried again, louder. "I'm human. I'm here to help." The door slid open just enough for him to squeeze through. The moment he was inside, it sealed behind him with a heavy thunk. J1 turned and found himself face to face with the princess. She was smaller than he expected. Most Valorans stood over 7 feet tall, but Princess Aranine was barely 6 feet. Her blue-gray skin was pale with fear, and her dark eyes were wide. She wore elegant robes that marked her royal status, but what caught J1's attention were her forearms. The bone blades were extended, razor-sharp and gleaming in the emergency lights. She stared at him. Not at his face. At his hands, his empty hands? "You are unarmed," she said. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but there was something in it. Shock, horror, disbelief. "Yes," J1 said simply. "I didn't have time to get my weapon. We need to secure this room." "They're cutting through the door?" Princess Aranin took a step back from him. She was shaking. "You came here without weapons? Into a battle? Are you trying to die?" J1 frowned. "I'm trying to save you. But you have nothing. No blades, no projectiles, no chemical weapons. You are defenseless." The door behind them glowed brighter. The attackers were almost through. J1 did not have time for this conversation. He moved quickly around the room, his eyes scanning for anything useful. The princess's chambers were large and elegant, filled with furniture and decorations. He grabbed a heavy metal statue from a table. "What are you doing?" the princess asked. "Improvising," J1 said. He tested the weight of the statue. It was solid, maybe 10 pounds. Good enough to use as a club. He spotted a decorative spear mounted on the wall and pulled it down. The tip was dull, meant for display, but the shaft was strong. Princess Aranin watched him with those wide, dark eyes. "You cannot fight trained assassins with furniture." "Watch me," J1 said. The door exploded inward. 3 figures rushed through the smoke, dressed in black armor and carrying energy rifles. They were not Valoran. They were Kresh, a mercenary species known for taking any job if the pay was good enough. The first one through the door did not see J1 standing beside the entrance. J1 swung the metal statue with all his strength, connecting with the side of the mercenary's helmet. The Kresh went down hard. J1 grabbed the fallen rifle, checked it quickly, and cursed. It was biometrically locked to its owner. Useless to him, he threw it at the second mercenary instead. The rifle hit the Kresh in the chest, making him stumble. J1 followed with the spear, driving it forward like he was in a fencing match. The dull tip could not penetrate armor, but it could push. He shoved the second mercenary back into the third one, tangling them together. Princess Aranin screamed. Not in fear. In rage. She leaped forward, her bone blades flashing. One blade caught the second mercenary across the throat. Blue blood sprayed. The third mercenary raised his rifle, but J1 was already moving. He kicked a chair into the mercenary's legs, sending him crashing down. The fight lasted less than 30 seconds. When it was over, 3 bodies lay on the floor. J1 was breathing hard. His ribs hurt where one of the mercenaries had hit him. He would have bruises tomorrow, if there was a tomorrow. Princess Aranin stared at him again. Her blades were still extended, dripping with blood. You fought them? She said. Without weapons. You actually fought them. J1 picked up the spear again. The shaft had cracked, but it would still work. We need to move. More will come. Is there another exit? The princess nodded slowly, but she did not move. She just kept staring at his hands, at his empty, unarmed hands, like they were the strangest thing she had ever seen in her life. Princess Aranin led J1 through a hidden passage behind a bookshelf. The walls were narrower here, made of plain metal instead of the decorated stone of the main chambers. Emergency lights cast shadows that danced and shifted as they moved. The secure chamber is 3 levels down, the princess said. Her voice was steadier now, but she kept glancing back at J1. It has reinforced walls and independent life support. We can lock ourselves in until help arrives. J1 nodded. Good. Do you have communication access there? Yes, direct line to the Valoran fleet. They moved quickly but carefully. J1 listened for sounds of pursuit. The embassy had gone eerily quiet after the initial explosions. That worried him more than the noise had. It meant the attackers had secured most of the building. They were probably searching room by room now. His communicator crackled to life. J1, can you hear me? It was Hyansu, his partner. They had worked together for 5 years, ever since J1 had started at the security company. Hyansu was calm under pressure, which made him invaluable in situations like this. I hear you, J1 whispered. I have the princess. We're heading to the secure chamber. Good, we're pinned down on level 3. Meet Taemin and Baora. They've got the main quarters locked down tight. Hyansu paused. Are you armed? J1 glanced at the cracked spear in his hand. Not really. A moment of silence. Then, of course you're not. Try not to die, okay? Working on it. Princess Aranin stopped at a heavy blast door. She placed her hand on a scanner, and the door slid open with a hiss. The secure chamber beyond was smaller than J1 had expected, maybe 15 feet on each side. But the walls were thick, and there were supplies stacked in one corner. Food, water, medical equipment. Enough to last a week if necessary. They stepped inside, and the door sealed behind them. J1 finally allowed himself to relax slightly. The princess moved to a communication console and began entering commands. I am sending a distress signal, she said. The fleet will respond within the hour. An hour. J1 looked at the door. It was strong, but nothing was truly impenetrable. Will this door hold that long? It should. It is designed to withstand heavy weapons fire. Princess Aranin turned away from the console. Her bone blades had retracted back into her forearms, leaving only smooth skin. Now, explain yourself. J1 set down his makeshift spear and leaned against the wall. His ribs were really starting to hurt. Explain what? Why you came without weapons? The princess moved closer to him, her dark eyes intense. In my culture, being unarmed is suicide. It is insanity. Even our children carry biological defenses. Yet you, a professional guard, walked into a combat situation with nothing. J1 shrugged. I didn't have a choice. My weapon locker was too far away. You were in danger. I came with what I had. Which was nothing. Which was me, J1 corrected. My training, my experience, my hands. That's not nothing. Princess Aranin shook her head. I do not understand. How does your species survive? Do humans have no survival instinct? J1 smiled despite the situation. We survive just fine. We've been doing it for thousands of years. But you are so vulnerable. Maybe, but we're also adaptable. We learn, we use tools, we work together. J1 gestured at the walls around them. Every species has their strengths. Valorans have natural weapons. Humans have something else. What? We have hope. The princess stared at him like he had spoken a foreign language. Hope is not a weapon, no, but it keeps us moving forward. Before Princess Aranin could respond, a sound echoed from outside, the sharp whine of cutting tools. Someone had found them. J1 pushed off from the wall and moved to the door. He pressed his ear against the metal. Yes, definitely cutting tools. Plasma cutters, probably. The door would hold, but not forever. How long? The princess asked. Maybe 30 minutes. Maybe less. J1 looked around the chamber. We need to prepare. Prepare? For what? We are trapped. We're not dead yet. J1 began pulling supplies from the storage containers. Medical tape. A bottle of cleaning solution, wire, a small welding torch meant for repairs. When I was a kid, my teacher told me something. She said humans are dangerous not because we're strong, but because we refuse to give up, even when things look impossible. Princess Aranin watched him work. What are you making? Defenses, surprises, anything that might give us an advantage. J1 unspooled the wire across the floor near the door. They'll expect us to cower in here. They won't expect us to fight back. But you are one human with no proper weapons. They have armor and rifles. True, but I have something they don't. What? J1 looked up at her. I have you. You're armed. You proved that when you killed that mercenary. Your bone blades cut through his armor like paper. The princess's skin paled. I have never killed before. That was the first time I have ever used my weapons on a living being. J1 stopped working. He had not realized. In Valoran culture, everyone was armed, but that did not mean everyone was a fighter. I'm sorry. That must have been hard. It was necessary. Princess Aranin extended her blades again, looking at them. My father's guards always protected me. I never needed to fight. I never wanted to fight. But when I saw him trying to shoot you, she trailed off, you did the right thing. You saved my life. You saved mine first. By coming here unarmed. She shook her head again. I still cannot believe you did that. Believe it, because we're going to need to do it again. J1 finished setting his wire trap and moved to the welding torch. When they break through, they'll come fast. They'll expect us to be at the back of the room, away from the door. Instead, we'll be right next to it. I'll use this torch. You'll use your blades? We hit them before they know what's happening. Princess Aranen was quiet for a moment. That is a terrible plan. You have a better one? No, then we use mine. The cutting sound grew louder. Sparks began to shower through where the door met the frame. The attackers were making progress faster than J1 had hoped. He checked his watch. 20 minutes since they had entered the chamber. 40 minutes until the Valoran fleet arrived. They had to hold out. Tell me something, the princess said suddenly. Why did you come to this meeting without weapons? Not just today in the emergency, but originally. You came to our embassy with no weapon at all. Why? J1 tested the welding torch, making sure it would ignite. My company has a policy. When we meet with new clients for security assessments, we come unarmed. It's a sign of good faith. Good faith, Princess Aranin repeated the words slowly. This is a human concept? Yes, it means we trust you not to hurt us. We show that trust by making ourselves vulnerable. But that makes no sense. Anyone could take advantage of that vulnerability. They could, J1 agreed, but usually they don't. When you show trust, people tend to respect it. It builds relationships. It opens doors that would stay closed if everyone came ready for war, the princess absorbed this. So you make yourselves weak on purpose? To show trust? We make ourselves open. There's a difference. J1 moved to stand beside the door. Weakness is when you can't protect yourself. Openness is when you choose not to, because you believe in something better than constant fighting. And if you are wrong? If the other side does not share your belief? J1 smiled grimly. Then we adapt. We fight with whatever we have, like right now. The door began to buckle. The cutting was nearly complete. Princess Aranin took her position on the other side of the entrance, her blades extended and ready. J1 could see her hands shaking. Hey, he said softly, you did it once, you can do it again. I am afraid, so my fear is normal, it keeps us alive. You do not look afraid. I've had more practice hiding it. J1 raised the welding torch. When that door falls, they'll step over the wire. That's when we strike, fast and hard. Don't think, just move. Princess Aranin nodded. The door fell inward with a crash. 2 armored figures stepped through, rifles raised. Their boots caught on the wire, making them stumble just slightly. It was enough. J1 triggered the torch, sending a stream of blue flame into the first attacker's face. The mercenary screamed and staggered back. Princess Aranin moved like liquid, her blades flashing. The second attacker went down without making a sound. 2 more figures appeared in the doorway. J1 threw the torch at them and grabbed the fallen rifle from the first attacker, still biometrically locked. He used it as a club instead, swinging hard. Metal crunched against armor. The fight was brutal and fast. The small space worked in their favor. The attackers could not use their superior numbers. They could only come through the door 1 or 2 at a time, and J1 and the princes were ready for each one. When it was over, 6 bodies lay on the floor. J1 was bleeding from a cut on his arm. Princess Aranin's robes were torn and stained with blue blood. They stood in the doorway, breathing hard, looking out at the corridor beyond. It was empty. Is it over? The princess asked. J1 shook his head. I don't think so. This was just a probe. They wanted to see how well we could defend. Now they know. What do? We run. While we still can, J1 picked up one of the rifles. Maybe I can disable the biometric lock. Buy us a real weapon. Princess Aranin looked at him with something new in her dark eyes, respect, maybe, even admiration. You fought 6 armed soldiers with a welding torch. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and emergency lighting. J1 led the way, still carrying the biometrically locked rifle as a club. Princess Aranen followed close behind. Her blades retracted but ready to extend at a moment's notice. The embassy was a maze of passages and rooms. J1 had studied the floor plans before his visit, but everything looked different in the chaos. Twice they had to backtrack when they found corridors blocked by debris. Once they heard voices and had to hide in a storage closet while a patrol passed by. "Where are we going?" the princess whispered. "Emergency bunker. Level 2, Section 9. It's marked on all embassy blueprints as a safe room." J1 checked his communicator. Still no signal from Hyansu or the others. That worried him. If my team is still alive, they'll head there too. They reached a maintenance stairwell and descended carefully. J1's arm was still bleeding from the earlier fight. It was not deep, but it needed attention soon. The adrenaline that had kept him going was starting to fade. Replaced by pain and exhaustion, Princess Aranen noticed him favoring the arm. "You are hurt. It's fine." "It is not fine. You are losing blood." "I said it's fine." J1's voice came out harsher than he intended. He took a breath. "Sorry, I'll deal with it when we reach the bunker." They found the bunker door on level 2. Hidden behind a panel marked electrical access. J1 pulled the panel open and entered the code he had memorized. The door slid open silently. The room beyond was small and dark. "Hello?" J1 called softly. "Anyone here?" No response. They entered, and the door sealed behind them. Emergency lights flickered on, revealing a space about the size of the secure chamber they had just left. But this bunker was designed differently. It had medical supplies, communication equipment, and even a small food dispenser. J1 immediately went to the medical kit. Princess Aranen helped him clean and bandage the cut on his arm. Her hands were steady and gentle. She worked in silence, focusing on the task. "You are good at this," J1 said. "My mother insisted I learn basic medical care. She said a ruler who cannot help her own people in times of need is no ruler at all." Princess Aranen finished wrapping the bandage. "There, that should hold. Thank you." The princess sat back against the wall. Now that they were safe, even temporarily, the exhaustion showed on her face. "Why are you helping me? You do not know me. I am just another alien to you." J1 settled beside her, close enough to talk quietly but far enough to be respectful. "Every life has value. That's what humans believe. Or at least that's what we try to believe. Try? We don't always get it right. We have our own history of violence and hate." J1 looked at his bandaged arm. "I had a sister. Her name was Yunji. She was smarter than me, funnier than me, better at everything. She wanted to be a teacher." Princess Aranen waited. She seemed to understand that this was important. When humans made first contact with aliens, there was panic, fear. Some people thought the aliens would destroy us, conquer us, replace us. There were protests. Then the protests turned into riots. J1's voice grew quieter. Yunji was at one of those riots. She was trying to calm people down, trying to talk sense. Someone threw a brick. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She died? She died because humans were afraid of what they did not understand. She died because people saw aliens as threats instead of people. J1 looked at the princess. "I became a peacekeeper because of her. I wanted to prove that humans could be better, that we could meet aliens and see them as friends instead of enemies." Princess Aranen was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry for your loss. Your sister sounds like she was a good person. She was the best person I knew. And now you protect aliens like me, even at risk to yourself because you believe it is what she would have wanted." "Yes, but also because it's the right thing to do. Because every life has value, yours, mine, even the lives of those mercenaries who attacked us, though they made their choice." J1 managed a tired smile. "That's the human way. We try to save everyone. Even when it's hard? Even when it seems impossible." Princess Aranen looked at her hands. Her blades were still hidden beneath the skin, but J1 knew they were there, ready to emerge at her command. "I have a secret," she said. "Something I have not told many people. You don't have to tell me. I want to. She took a breath. For years, I have been trying to convince my father and the Valoran Council to pursue disarmament treaties with other species. Not complete disarmament. We could never give up our natural weapons, but symbolic disarmament. Meeting rooms where no one brings external weapons. Zones of peace where violence is forbidden. J1 listened carefully. This was important. Everyone mocks me. They call me naive. They say I do not understand how the galaxy works. They say that only the armed survive, and anyone who chooses peace is choosing death. Princess Arnin's voice was bitter. My own guards laugh at me behind my back. They think I'm a foolish child playing at politics. But you kept trying anyway. Yes, because I believe in it. I believe there must be a better way than constant fear, constant readiness for war. But I have never been able to make anyone understand. She looked at J1. Until now, you live what I have only talked about. You came to our embassy unarmed. You entered danger without weapons. You are the first person I have met who actually practices the principles I believe in. J1 thought about this. You know the assassins who attacked today? What about them? They were Kresh mercenaries, hired by someone. But who would want to kill you? Princess Aranun's expression darkened. Someone who does not want peace. Someone who profits from fear and division? She paused. I have enemies on my own world. Conservatives who think my peace initiatives threaten Valoran security. Military leaders who lose power if weapons become less important. You think Valorans hired mercenaries to kill you? I think it is possible. Perhaps even likely. The princess stood and paced the small bunker. If I die here on neutral territory during peace talks, it would justify everything my enemies believe. They could say peace is dangerous. That opening ourselves to other species led to my death. They could use it to lock down Valoran space and all diplomatic initiatives. J1 felt cold. That's why they use Kresh mercenaries instead of Valoran assassins. To make it look like an outside attack? Yes, then we need to prove who really hired them. We need evidence. Princess Arnin stopped pacing. Even if we survive, even if we escape, who would believe us? I have no proof. Only suspicions. Then we find proof. J1 moved to the communication console. This bunker has data access, right? Can you pull embassy security recordings? The system will be damaged from the explosions. Maybe, but parts of it might still work. If we can find footage of the attack, if we can trace the mercenaries' entry point or their communication signals, we might be able to identify who hired them. The princess joined him at the console. Her fingers moved quickly across the controls, entering commands. The screen flickered, showing static and error messages. Then a video feed appeared. It was grainy and broken, but visible. This is from the east entrance, Princess Aranin said. 4 hours before the attack. The video showed 3 Valorans entering the embassy. They wore civilian clothes and carried diplomatic credentials. But something about them seemed wrong. Their movements were too precise, too military. Can you identify them? J1 asked. Princess Aranin zoomed in on their faces. Her expression went cold. That is Commander Tor. He serves in my father's military. And that one is General Kess, one of the council members. They were scouting the embassy, planning the attack. They came themselves. They wanted to see the layout firsthand. Princess Aranin's voice shook with anger. They were willing to kill me to stop my peace initiatives. Their own princess. J1 copied the video file to a secure drive. This is the evidence you needed. If we get this to your father, if we expose what they did, it will destroy them. Their careers, their reputations, everything. Princess Aranin looked at J1 with fierce determination. Good, they chose this. They chose violence over peace. They chose fear over hope. An alarm suddenly blared. The bunker's door shook. Someone had found them. They tracked us? J1 said. He grabbed the rifle, knowing it was still useless to him. How long can this door hold? Not long enough. This bunker is not as well fortified as the secure chamber. Then we make a choice. J1 looked at the princess. We can try to fight here. Use this small space to our advantage again. Or we can run, try to reach the main communication center and broadcast this evidence before they stop us. Princess Aranin did not hesitate. We run. This evidence is more important than our lives. If people see what my enemies are willing to do, it will change everything. J1 nodded. There's an emergency exit. It leads to the maintenance tunnels. If we move fast, we can reach the communication center before they cut us off. And if we cannot, then we improvise, like humans do. The door buckled. They had seconds. J1 pulled open the emergency hatch in the floor. Dark tunnels stretched below. Princess Aranin did not hesitate. She dropped through the hatch. J1 followed, sealing it above them just as the main door exploded. They ran through darkness, guided only by emergency lights that flickered at irregular intervals. The maintenance tunnels were hot and cramped. Pipes hissed with steam. The air smelled like recycled oxygen and machine oil. J1 and Princess Aranin moved as quickly as they could through the narrow passages, following signs that pointed toward the central hub. J1's communicator crackled suddenly. J1? If you're alive, respond. It was Hyeonsu. J1's heart leaped. I'm here. I have the princess. Are you safe? Define safe. We're pinned down near the main atrium. Taemin took a hit, but he'll live. Biora is working on getting us out. Hyeonsu paused. We heard an explosion on your level. Thought we lost you? Not yet. Listen, we have evidence. Video proof that Valoran military leaders hired the mercenaries. We need to get it to the communication center and broadcast it. Silence for a moment. Then that's a suicide mission. The communication center will be heavily guarded. I know, but it's the only way. If we can expose the conspiracy, the attack ends. The mercenaries lose their funding and their purpose. What do you need from us? A distraction. Something big enough to pull guards away from the communication center? Hyeonsu laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yeah, we can do that. Give us 10 minutes to get into position. Then watch for fireworks. The line went dead. Princess Aranin looked at J1 with worry. Your friends will put themselves in danger for us? That's what friends do, even for an alien they do not know. Especially for someone who needs help. J1 checked the data drive in his pocket. Still secure. That's another human thing. We protect those who can't protect themselves. Even if it costs us. They emerged from the maintenance tunnels into a service corridor. The embassy felt different now, quieter. Most of the fighting had moved to other sections. But that did not mean they were safe. J1 could hear patrol boots echoing from nearby hallways. The communication center was 3 corridors away. J1 and the princess moved along the walls, staying in shadows. They passed bodies of Valoran guards and embassy staff. Princess Aranin's face was tight with grief, but she kept moving. An explosion rocked the building. Then another. Hyeonsu's distraction had started. Now, J1 said. They ran. The communication center's doors were sealed. 2 Kresh mercenaries stood guard outside. When they saw J1 and the princess running toward them, they raised their rifles. J1 threw the useless rifle he had been carrying. It spun through the air and hit one mercenary in the face. The alien stumbled. Princess Aranin leaped forward, her blades extending in midair. She moved faster than J1 had seen before, driven by desperation and determination. The second mercenary fired. The energy bolt went wide, hitting the wall instead of the princess. J1 was already there, using the momentum of his run to tackle the alien. They went down together. The mercenary was stronger, but J1 had training. He got his arm around the alien's throat and squeezed. The mercenary went limp. J1 took the rifle and checked it. Still biometrically locked? He cursed it and dropped it. Princess Aranin stood over the first mercenary, her blades dripping. She was breathing hard. I'm getting better at this. I do not know if that is good or bad. Right now it's good. J1 moved to the communication center door. The control panel was damaged, sparking. Can you override this? The princess examined the panel. Maybe, give me a moment. While she worked, J1 kept watch on the corridor. More explosions echoed from elsewhere in the embassy. Hyeon-soo and his team were doing their job, but how long could they keep it up? Got it, Princess Aranine said. The door slid open. Inside the communications center, they found someone waiting for them. A human woman in an ambassador's uniform, sitting calmly in a chair. Her hands were bound behind her back. Standing next to her was a Valoran, tall and heavily armed. His uniform marked him as high military rank. Princess Aranine, the Valoran said. His voice was cold. How disappointing. I had hoped you would die quickly, Commander Tor. The princess's blades were still extended. I should have known you would be here personally. Too much of a coward to just hire mercenaries and leave? I prefer to ensure important work is completed correctly. Commander Tor looked at J1. And you must be the human guard. The one who has been protecting the princess. Quite resourceful from what I have heard. You killed 6 of my mercenaries with improvised weapons. J1 said nothing. He was calculating distances, looking for advantages. The human ambassador, he realized, must be Sujin. She had been scheduled to meet with the princess today. She looked frightened but unhurt. Let her go, J1 said, nodding toward Sujin. She's not part of this. Actually, she is very much part of this. When the princess's body is found, Ambassador Sujin will testify that humans attacked the embassy. That human security failed to protect the princess. It will destroy any hope of peace between our species. Commander Tor smiled. 2 problems solved with 1 operation. Princess Aranine stepped forward. My father will discover the truth. You cannot hide this forever. Your father is old and sick. He sees what the council wants him to see. And after your tragic death, the council will have complete control. Commander Tor raised his weapon. Now, drop whatever makeshift weapons you have, or I kill the ambassador. J1 looked at the spear shaft he had picked up in the corridor. It was cracked and barely useful. He dropped it. Princess Aranine retracted her blades. Good, Commander Tor said. Now, J1 moved. Not toward the commander. Toward the weapon on the floor, the one taken from the mercenary outside. He grabbed it, knowing it would not fire, and threw it at the commander's head. Commander Tor dodged, his aim shifting from the ambassador to J1. That was the opening Princess Aranine needed. She launched herself forward, blades extending again. But the commander was a trained warrior, not a surprised mercenary. He deflected her strike and hit her with the butt of his weapon. The princess went down hard. Commander Tor aimed at her fallen form. J1 did something he had never done before. Something that went against everything he believed in. He charged a fully armed opponent with nothing but his bare hands. Commander Tor fired. The energy bolt hit J1 in the shoulder, spinning him around. Pain exploded through his body. He fell to his knees but kept moving forward, crawling. Foolish human, Commander Tor said. Did you really think you could? Ambassador Sujin kicked her chair backward, hitting the commander's legs. It was not much, but it was enough. The commander stumbled. Princess Aranine, dazed but conscious, swept her blade across his ankle. Commander Tor screamed and fell. His weapon clattered across the floor. J1, fighting through the pain, reached it first. His burned hand closed around the grip. The biometric lock recognized Valoran physiology. It would not fire for him, but Princess Aranine had Valoran hands. J1 slid the weapon across the floor to her. She caught it, aimed, and fired. Commander Tor did not get up again. Silence filled the communication center. J1 collapsed, his shoulder burning. Princess Aranine rushed to him while Ambassador Sujin worked on freeing her bound hands. You idiot, the princess said. Tears streamed down her face. You charged an armed warrior with nothing. You could have died. Didn't have a choice, J1 managed. He was going to kill you. That is not an acceptable reason to be so stupid. Seemed like a good reason. At the time, Ambassador Sujin got free and immediately went to work on J1's wound. The burn is bad, but it's not fatal. We need to get him to a medical bay? Not yet, J1 said through gritted teeth. The evidence. We need to broadcast. Princess Aranine understood. She helped J1 sit up against a console, then moved to the communication controls. Her hands flew over the interface. Screens lit up around the room. I am sending this on all Valoran channels, she said. Every ship in the fleet will receive it. Every embassy. Every government facility. The video began to play. Commander Tor and General Kess entering the embassy. Their planning meeting captured by security cameras. Their communication with the Kresh mercenaries, everything. Then Princess Aranine did something J1 had not expected. She turned on the live broadcast system and stood in front of the camera. My name is Princess Aranine of Valora, she said. Her voice was steady, strong. What you are seeing is evidence that members of our own military tried to assassinate me to prevent peace negotiations. They hired mercenaries. They attacked this embassy. They were willing to start a war to maintain their power. She paused, then did something remarkable. She retracted her bone blades completely and raised her empty hands to the camera. I stand before you unarmed, not because I am weak, but because I choose peace. A human taught me this. He walked into danger without weapons because he believed in something better than violence. He was right. Ambassador Sujin was watching the broadcast with wide eyes. J1 felt tears on his cheeks, though he could not tell if they were from pain or something else. I am proposing the human protocol, Princess Aranine continued. Diplomatic zones where all parties meet unarmed. Where we prove our commitment to peace not with words but with vulnerability. Where we show trust by making ourselves open to each other. She lowered her hands. My enemies thought killing me would stop the peace movement. They were wrong. My death would have made me a martyr. But my survival, and this evidence, will make me something more powerful. 1 month had passed since the attack on the Valoran embassy. J1 stood in his apartment on Earth, adjusting the collar of his formal uniform. His shoulder still ached sometimes, a reminder of the energy bolt that had nearly killed him. But the doctors had done good work. He would carry a scar, but he could move his arm normally. His communicator chimed. Hyunsu's face appeared on the screen. You ready for this? His partner asked. Not really. You know, I hate formal ceremonies. Hyunsu laughed. Too bad. You're a hero now. Heroes have to attend ceremonies. It's in the job description. I'm not a hero. I just did what needed to be done. Right, you charged an armed alien warrior with your bare hands. Totally normal behavior. J1 smiled despite himself. How's Taemin? Fully recovered. Biora too. We're all heading to the ceremony together. Don't be late. The line disconnected. J1 looked at himself in the mirror one more time, then left his apartment. The transport to the spaceport was crowded with people talking excitedly about the ceremony. Everyone had seen the video. Everyone knew the story of the human who protected an alien. Princess J-1 wished they would talk about something else. The ceremony was being held on Valora, the homeworld of Princess Aranine. It had taken weeks to arrange. The conspiracy had gone deeper than anyone expected. General Kess and 12 other military leaders had been arrested. Commander Tor had died in the communication center, but his co-conspirators faced trial. The Valoran Emperor had publicly apologized to the galaxy. He had promised reforms, investigations, and a complete restructuring of military oversight. But the biggest change was the one Princess Aranine had proposed in her broadcast, the human protocol. 3 species had already signed the agreement. Humans, Valorans, and the Karathi, a race of peaceful traders who had been trying to establish diplomatic relations for years. More species were expected to join. The protocol established special zones in embassies and negotiation centers where all weapons were prohibited. Where trust was built through vulnerability rather than strength, some people called it naive. Others called it revolutionary. J1 just thought of it as common sense. The transport arrived at the spaceport. J1 met Hyunsu, Taemin, and Baor at the gate. They boarded a shuttle bound for Valora. The journey took 6 hours, but it passed quickly. They talked about work, about the changes in their company since the attack. Their security firm had received hundreds of new contracts. Everyone wanted the humans who had stopped an assassination when they arrived on Valora. J1 was struck by the beauty of the planet. Purple skies, 3 moons visible even in daylight. Cities that seemed to grow from the ground rather than being built upon it. The Valorans had lived here for thousands of years, developing technology and culture that rivaled anything humans had achieved. A delegation met them at the landing pad. Valoran officials in ceremonial robes, their bone blades retracted but visible beneath their skin. They greeted the humans with formal bows. "Welcome to Valora," one official said. "Princess Aranen is eager to see you again." They were taken to the Imperial Palace, a massive structure that dominated the capital city. The architecture was unlike anything on Earth, organic curves instead of sharp angles. Living plants integrated into every surface. Water flowing through channels in the walls. In a private chamber, they found Princess Aranen waiting. She wore robes of deep blue, marked with symbols of her royal status. But what caught J1's attention was her forearms. The skin was smooth, unblemished. Her bone blades were retracted, and she made no move to extend them. "J1," she said, her dark eyes bright with happiness. "You came." "Of course." "You invited me. I was worried you would refuse. You do not seem to enjoy attention." "I don't. But I couldn't miss this." J1 gestured to his team. "You remember Hyunsu, Taemin, and Biora?" The princess greeted each of them warmly. She had met them briefly after the attack, but this was different. This was peace, not crisis. This was friendship, not just survival. "The ceremony begins in 2 hours," Princess Aranen said. "But first, I wanted to show you something. Will you walk with me?" J1 nodded. Hyunsu gave him an encouraging look. The others stayed behind while J1 followed the princess through the palace. Guards watched them pass but kept their distance. They walked through gardens where plants grew in impossible colors, past fountains that sang with flowing water. Finally, they reached a balcony overlooking the city. "This is my favorite place," Princess Aranen said. "I come here when I need to think." J1 stood beside her, looking out at the alien landscape. "It's beautiful." "Thank you. I wanted you to see it because ... because this is what we are fighting to protect. Not just Valora, not just Earth, but all of it. Every world, every species. The beauty that exists when we choose peace over war." "You've been working hard on the human protocol," J1 said. It was not a question. He had followed the news. The princess had become the face of the peace movement, traveling between worlds, giving speeches, meeting with leaders. "I have. And it is working, J1. Slowly, but it is working. The Karathi signed last week. The Draviks are considering it. Even some of the more militant species are listening." That's good. It would not have happened without you. Without what you showed me that day in the embassy." Princess Aranen turned to face him. "Do you know what changed everything? It was not the fighting. It was not even the evidence we broadcast. It was when I stood in front of that camera and retracted my blades. When I chose to be vulnerable, you made that choice yourself. But you showed me it was possible. You walked into danger unarmed because you believed in something better. That belief was contagious." J1 thought about his sister Yunji, about the brick that had killed her, about all the years he had spent trying to honor her memory. "I'm not special. Any human would have done the same." "No, not any human. You." Princess Aranen smiled. "You see the best in people even when they do not see it themselves. That is a rare gift." They stood in silence for a while, watching the sun set over the alien city. It painted the purple sky in shades of orange and red. "There is something else I wanted to tell you," the princess said. "My father is stepping down. His health is failing, and he believes it is time for a new generation to lead. The council has chosen me as his successor. J1 turned to her in surprise. You'll be Empress? Yes, in 6 months I will be crowned. She looked uncertain, a rare expression on her face. I am afraid, J1. There is so much responsibility. So many people depending on me. You'll do fine. You've already proven you can lead. Have I? I nearly died. I needed you to save me. You saved yourself. And you saved me too, more than once. We saved each other. That's how peace works. It's not about one person being strong enough to protect everyone. It's about all of us protecting each other. Princess Aranin nodded slowly. You should be a diplomat, not a security guard. I'm better at keeping people safe. You are good at both. She reached out and touched his arm gently, careful of his healing shoulder. When I am Empress, I want you to serve as my advisor, to help me build the peace we both believe in. J1 was stunned. I'm not qualified for that. I'm just a guard. You are a man who walked into danger unarmed because you believed it was right? That is the only qualification I need. The princess's expression was serious. I am not asking you to abandon your life on Earth. You could split your time between our worlds. Help train the new peacekeepers. Teach others what you taught me. I need to think about it. Of course. Take all the time you need. The offer will remain open. They returned to the palace interior. The ceremony was about to begin. Thousands of Valorans filled the great hall, along with representatives from dozens of species. Humans stood beside aliens who had been enemies just months ago. The human protocol had created bridges where walls once stood. A human diplomat named Dong Hyan approached them. He was young, enthusiastic, and completely dedicated to the peace process. Princess Aranin J1, it's time, Dong Hyan said. Everyone is waiting. The ceremony was elaborate and beautiful. The Valoran Emperor spoke about the past and the future, about mistakes made and lessons learned. He formally endorsed the human protocol and announced that Valora would be the first species to establish permanent unarmed diplomatic zones, then Princess. Aranin stood before the gathered crowd. She spoke about the attack, about the conspiracy, about the humans who had saved her life. She spoke about the importance of vulnerability, of trust, of choosing hope over fear. And then she did something remarkable. She called J1 to the stage. He walked forward reluctantly, feeling every eye in the hall on him. Princess Aranin took his hand and raised it high. This human showed us the way, she said. He entered danger unarmed. He trusted when trust seemed foolish. He believed in peace when violence seemed certain. Because of him, I am alive. Because of him, we have a chance to build something better. The hall erupted in applause. Not just from humans, from Valorans, from Karathi, from species J1 did not even recognize. They were applauding not him, but what he represented. The possibility of peace, the power of vulnerability, the strength of trust. Later, after the ceremony ended, J1 found himself surrounded by people wanting to meet him, to shake his hand, to hear his story. He endured it patiently.